I was one of the Native American children, adopted at birth and removed from our country's Indian reservation system. I was raised in a small middle-class farming community, but was never told of my true American Indian heritage. It was still taboo back in those early days. The years passed, and in 1987 I lost both parents. While going through their personal belongings, my wife discovered my adoption papers and she began a search. 5 years later, I was reunited with my biological Lakota family, living on the lower Brulé Sioux Indian Reservation of South Dakota. I am a son of two mothers and a product of two worlds that had collided, but I have an equal amount of love and pride for both. I'm Paul LaRush, and the stories you are about to see are an attempt to share this true American story of a hidden heritage. This week we're in the Black Hills of South Dakota, and as you can see behind me, we're at Crazy Horse Memorial. This is one of our favorite stops. It has been a favorite of ours over the past 25 years. One reason for that? Well, we get a chance to meet people from around the world. We also get a chance to shake hands and act as Native American ambassadors. And one other thing, we get a chance to mingle with and meet some of the Native American artists from across the country. Join us this week on Hidden Heritage from Crazy Horse Memorial. Each year, Crazy Horse Memorial hosts numerous Native American performers, speakers, educators, and entertainers who share their individual stories and experiences with thousands of visitors from around the world, enhancing the guest experience at Crazy Horse Memorial.
My name is Whitney Rencountre, W-H-I-T-N-E-Y. Rencountre is R-E-N-C-O-U-N-T-R-E. And I'm from the Lakota Dakota Oyate, also known as the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe, and grew up on the Fort Thompson Crow Creek Reservation right here in South Dakota. And you know, I've learned how to sing and dance since I was a little boy from my grandfather, and it's something I still carry on today.
So I'm Jessie, taken alive, Rencountre. I'm Hunkpapa Lakota and Lakota Dakota from the Standing Rock Reservation. I grew up there all my life as well, and make my home here in the Black Hills.
During the school year, I run a nonprofit youth program in Rapid City, South Dakota, working with over 1,000 mostly Native American youth in the school district, at-risk students, helping them, tutor them, give them transportation, give them snacks, take them out on outings, just more or less being a safe, trusted adult with the mentors that I have. We work directly with the students and their families. We're placed in the schools, and then we just help them, you know, make it through school and you know, hopefully graduate from high school. So that's kind of during the school year. But I also travel to a lot of events and powwows and conferences to MC a lot of events, and I you know, I'm able to share some of my teachings. And I have a passion for education. I think education, communication, I think that's so important for our growth and relationship with race, the differences that we have in our country. And I think you know, also in the summertime, my wife and I do a lot of song and dance performances, presentations, and we travel to a lot of powwows, and really helps us to kind of, you know, experience things as a family, and I think that's really important to us.
Normally during the school year, I serve either as a school counselor or a teacher in a school district locally here in the Black Hills, but in the summertime I get to spend a lot of time with my daughters. I think that's an important part for me, from my own teachings from my mother and my grandmother, about being able to spend a lot of time with my children while they're young, be able to instill those teachings and values with them. And so it's one of the reasons why, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why I love education is being able to first be able to be an educator for my daughters, and then throughout the school year help with the students in the school district. So in the summertime as well, we bring our families to our presentations. We do a lot of education, like my husband said, on race relations, song and dance performances, kind of just sharing a little bit about who we are as Lakota Dakota people. And so I think it's awesome for our children to be able to see that, because it's important work, and hopefully one day that they can actually carry this on as well too when they're women. So
here at the Crazy Horse Memorial, my wife and I were approached a few years back to see if we were willing by one of my college friends that I met at the University of Black Hills State University, asked if we'd be willing to come on up and share some songs and dances and whatever else we wanted to share. And so as a former high school Indian Studies teacher myself, and someone who grew up on the reservation, and I didn't know why I experienced the experience that I had on the reservation, but when I went to college and I went to a university, I had a whole different experience, because everybody was there to learn, and we're always open to the Lakota Dakota culture, and that really kind of built my self-esteem in knowing that what I experienced on the reservation, wasn't necessarily the big picture of the world that we live in today. And our ancestors had a different way of life, and then on the reservation, that's still pretty new to our people in reality, in the grand scheme of history. And so living in the Black Hills, it feels like this is still a place that has so much connections to our people. So I was kind of inspired by that. And so when we perform and when we have time to share with other cultures or other people, even our own people, I feel like we have an opportunity to share, be advocates, to kind of create a better understanding for people to understand and learn maybe things you don't learn in a public school book. So I try to incorporate what my grandfather taught me in the songs and the dances and the traditions in that way with some of the education today, and try to bring it together to help people be more aware.
So the dances that we dance are powwow dances, and powwows are our social dances. We gather and we dance, we have fun and such, and our dances are there for us to they're there for healing as well, but as well as to create and freely express ourselves as people. And when we share our culture and stuff, we're hoping to have people understand a little bit about who we are today as modern Lakota people, Dakota people. And yes, our ancestors lived in teepees. We don't live in teepees anymore. We're school counselors and teachers today, but also we're powwow dancers as well too. So we get to share a little bit about who we are as modern day Native American people. So I think that anyone who comes here wants to learn. 99.9% of them that come here and visit here have an interest. And so we have positive feedback about how much they've learned, And a lot of them say, and we also share this in our presentations, that a lot of the stuff that we share with you today, you're not going to really be able to find in history books unless you go out and search and do your own research. And so the feedback that we get is really positive. And they say they walk away with a different point of view after presentations. So,
well, for me, growing up on the Crow Creek Reservation, I was growing up in a single-parent home. I'm thankful that I had my grandparents, because it's typical on a reservation. You see that the elders are the ones that kind of go through the experiences of a reservation, and then as they mature and get older, they start to realize, it's important to pass down the traditions. It's important to not just the traditional culture, but maybe some tools to give your children and especially your grandchildren. You see that happening a lot. And for me, I think my grandparents and my mother, they really used to try to teach me at a young age some of the things that they had experienced, and they wanted life better for me. And so I knew the only way to do that was to more or less discard some of the things that I learned on the reservation, the negative things, the addictions and the things that we see people struggling with. But there was a sense of inspiration that our culture, that my grandfather still had, the inspiration to teach us our language through the songs. And he spent his days making us regalia, and we'd go to powwows. We traveled across the state, attending powwows. And I think that had a big impact on me, and then his ability to work hard and to be of service to other people. I think that really had a major impact on me. And so when I went to college, it gave me a perspective that I had a lot of work to do. That college was an opportunity for me to try to create some change, in not only in my life but in our future generations. And that's why our children, we try our best to teach them some new cycles.
I was blessed to have some parents that were, first of all, we were introduced into growing up around the church, and then at a young age, anywhere between 0 to 5, my first early memories were about church and such, and my mom being a Sunday school teacher, my grandfather being the organist and such. And then around that time was when there was some type of conflict where our whole family was not allowed to go to church for some reason. But I kind of see it as a blessing in disguise, because around that time was when there was an older gentleman from the Pine Ridge Reservation who came up, and he was kind of like a tutor, like a mentor to my father and my uncle, and he taught him a lot about our ceremonial ways and our culture, and so about the Lakota spirituality. And so I, as my parents' daughter, and my siblings, we got to benefit from that. My growing up around our ceremonies after that, and learning about these beautiful ancient ceremonies, and hopefully now I get to pass this on to our children. And so when I grew up on the reservation, it was kind of like that's all my world was. And then when I went off to college, because I took the advice from my grandfather, who said that it's important to have a college education today as Lakota people, and to walk in both worlds with the education, but also as well as keeping who we are as Lakota people. So when I went off to college, it was a huge culture shock for me, not really knowing life outside the reservation. But it was important, though. So today, we make our home off the reservation, but mainly because we've fallen in love with the Black Hills, and there's opportunities in the city where we live that our children wouldn't be able to have if we were on the reservation. There's sometimes where I wish we could move home, to be closer to my family and such, and be closer to these ceremonies that still happen all the time. And it's kind of just like, there's pros and cons with both.
So they came up with this term, Nadawi Sioux. And when they came down to meet our ancestors, they said Sioux, snakes, enemies, adders. And so our ancestors said, Hiya, no, Malakota, I am Lakota. Lakota means friends and allies. There's Lakota, Dakota, Nakota. Those are the 3 language dialects of our people. Now, the only difference between our people, for example, if you the language dialect, if you say friend in our language, you say kola. Can everybody say kola? Kola. I think Coca-Cola might have stole that from us. Now, our people, we love the Black Hills. We love everything around here. And there's also a place kind of south. There's a place called Buffalo Gap. And it's believed that's where some of the first buffalo herds came through this area. At one time, there used to be 30 to 60 million buffalo that lived here. Forward, we talk about the understanding that we wanted to protect the Black Hills long ago. And in 1849, the gold rush was happening in California. And so because of all the tribes and the buffalo that lived up here in the northern plains, we had to come to an agreement. 1851 at Fort Laramie, Wyoming. The Fort Laramie Treaty, basically between the United States and our ancestors, basically protected the northern plains so we can hunt the buffalo just like we've been living for a long time. And so one of the things that happened, this lasted for about, this is what we call a round dance. And so what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, at the beat of the drum, everybody's going to step to the left. We're going to try to get this circle moving in a clockwise motion. All right? Step to the left. Step, step, step.
My Lakota name is Akichita Tokahe. I come up here to Crazy Horse Mountain to do the artist in residency program. Well, you know, about 10 years ago, I was introduced into ledger art, and it's artwork that was done by our ancestors pre-reservation, early reservation time era, and they were really preserving our history and our culture through writings and paintings on this antique ledger paper. Well, it wasn't antique then, but through those writings and those drawings, you know, a lot of our history was preserved for the future generations, like myself. So, you know, as an artist, and a Lakota, as an Ogallala Wichasha, once I realized that they took the time to really put their knowledge down for the future generations, I just seen that as, you know, one of the most honorable things. These were warriors and statesmen, and, you know, sacred men, and they were really putting their knowledge down. So after 5 of my pieces were purchased by the Smithsonian for their permanent collection, I just decided to go full-time in ledger art, and
Good for you.
original artists did their unique style, and a lot of ledger art you see done today kind of copies that unique style.
Gotcha.
So myself, though, I think that would just be copying them. So what I do is I put in my own technique, and you know, still with the historic knowledge, but I put in my own technique, and I try to show a little dimension. You know, something that I think the original artists really would have done if they had more time to spend on their art. So, and I've taken it to another level where I work on antique documents.
Wow, that's cool.
This right here is a land deed from Sheridan County in Nebraska that is right next to my reservation. This land was it's a historic fact that this land was stolen by the federal government and given to this represents the Homestead Act. So people might think that promotes violence, but it doesn't. It just represents, you know, touching the enemy without destroying or killing, and it's the highest honor. And like this is a music sheet from the song "Oh Lovely Night." So I put a night scene on there with a teepee, and this one, little dear little mother o' mine. I put a mother on there. Usually I'll do a profile with a baby on there, but I just wanted to show a strong woman, you know, a strong mother standing there.
Exactly.
So I like to empower people, you know, and to help people to heal with art. It's the most important thing, along with music. White Clay is a notorious border town right next to the Pine Ridge Reservation, and they sold 3 million cans of beer per year in a town with 4 bars and 7 residents. So through the years, we worked on closing that place down because it really represented the destruction of my people through addiction and alcoholism. So in 2017, through many efforts of many people, it was closed down.
Wow.
And so now it's a town. There's a couple stores there. And what some of the artists that I work with have done is teamed together with some other allies, and we started the White Clay Makerspace. And what we are is a nonprofit organization that is going to help reservation artists to have a place where we can meet, we can teach and learn. And this is all done with private donations and private efforts.
Kelly Looking Horse
All right,
from
Kelly.
Wakwame Lake over in Pine Ridge Reservation. We're like about 18 miles east of Pine Ridge, way out in the country. So it's a community mostly of all relatives, you know, we're all kind of related. And every now and then relatives will get married to somebody and they bring them back out there. And they become part of the community. So once a year we have twice a year we have powwow. Veterans Day in November, and we have another gathering on the 4th of July. And it's all community function, community funded. We don't get ask for help from the tribe, we don't get no money from Shakopee.
Yeah.
We just kind of like do it on our own.
People think that everyone gets a check, don't they?
And we say, well, hey, if we can't raise the money to put on that powwow, then it doesn't have to happen.
Yeah.
So we have bingos every first Sunday of each month. And we raise about $400 or $500 each month, and we put it together. And at the end of the year, like 12 months, we have like around about $7,000, $8,000, And we pay for the electricity, the porta potties, and we pay the dancers and singers to come and they come to dance and sing, and we kind of give them a little incentive, not an honorarium or a per diem or nothing, but just say, hey, thank you for coming. Yeah, here's $50, here's $20, here's $100 for your drum group, whatever, And they all like to come because, boy, we put on some big fees, boy. Friday, certain families have Friday, and Saturday, some of the other families have Saturday, and Sunday another family. So there's no real hardship on one person or a group or anything. It's just we're raised that way. And so year after year after year, we just keep that powwow alive like that. And that's my utmost pride is that we function, like a sovereignty, like no outside funding or anything like that, man. And been given an opportunity to come here to Crazy Horse. I never came here before. I bring tours here. I'm a tour guide, an interpreter. So I brought like foreign tours, like Belgium, Holland, like Germany. They want to see Crazy Horse Mountain. They want to see the beauty and majesty of this area. So I'll bring them here and I'll walk them around and stuff. And that was my involvement and my intent. And then this past year, I was looking at online, and they're offering all kinds of different programs here at Crazy Horse. My friend from California, she likes to write things for us. I'm not a writer. So she interviewed me and did all my application. She submitted it, and we got accepted for the Gift to Mother Earth. The lacing on my drums comes from the image of the Bighorn Mountain, the medicine was located in the Bighorn Mountains. And from there we'll go to Crow Fair, and check out the crows and the teepee capital of the world, And we'll go to the Little Bighorn, and I'll get some war whoops and sing a Little Bighorn song,
Good one.
Like singing that song, man, that Little Bighorn song, because our warriors, boy, they stood against the tide there, all knowing that what was going to happen to us in the future. But we got to let people know who we are.
That's right.
We're landlords. We're the first inhabitants of this turtle island, Northern America, and we have to take care of her. And we've got to share it with others and teach others how to honor this earth. So that's kind of like what we do. But I'm glad to be here. Just like last day, I spoke to hundreds of people. I was just speaking to their brother from Canada. And a lot of these people don't know, they didn't hear anything about us. So this is like their first time. And they got to meet their real brother, I speak my language, I sing the song, I'm a dancer. Well, I'm proud to be a Lakota, and I'm glad to have been given the opportunity to speak to your audience, this way. Mm-hmm. And then I put my first tension on here and I let that completely dry. When that's completely dry, I put this 8-point handle in here like this, and then I weave a traditional spider web right there. And I usually wait for a little bit before I cut these off. They're still damp.
Right. Once they dry, then that's
dry,
good
they're like steel.
That's good for the duration.
And then I put my name and everything on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
And everything I do, I always put Crazy Horse's name in there. My grandfather, his name was Thomas Tulance, and I always put his name in there, just to give him recognition and credit. And so that's kind of like how, see that, the tone of the drums. I love making drums. So as you can see, all these drums I got here, These are all my products.
Very cool.
We just love making drums. So this one here is a buffalo hide drum.
Wow, I love
32 inches in diameter. And then I have
That's
this
beautiful.
other drum that I made. This one is in reference to the legend of the great race around the Black Hills. It's out of cottonwood tree trunk.
Wow.
And I painted it reddish color because they say that the animal nation was racing around the Black Hills. And they're racing so hard and so fast that their hoofs were bleeding, but they didn't know that, you know. So if you look at the aerial view of the Black Hills, it's all reddish color.
Right.
And then this is also a buffalo drum, buffalo hide drum. And then we got those hand drums up there. I put them together and then my wife paints them.
Ah.
So this here especially is really nice because it's a tribute to the warriors the men that were, the people that were killed at Wounded Knee in 1890.
Ah.
On a headstone, you'll see the design there.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the 4 races that God put on earth on this turtle island.
Right.
And they're all the same way, the weaving in the back.
Yeah.
And,
That's kind of your trademark. I haven't.
yeah, that's my trademark
yeah.
right there.
I got
So
it.
no matter how large or small, they all have the same
Mhm.
design in the back.
It's got
And
a
then
nice
this
sound.
is a size 13 here.
Yeah.
We put a female elk here because the hide is elk. It was really a great honor to see my drums go out in all different directions. And then knowing that, you know, some people have my drums out there and whenever they're feeling down, you know, they can tap on the drum and
That's
sing
right.
a little song to lift themselves up.
That's right.
Because drums are really a healing tool, you know.
Exactly. You are.
They're really soothing and they really, you know, stroke your emotions
Yeah. Yep.
and lift you up and make you feel good.
Well, I grew up with my grandma. You know how it is to grow up Lakota. You grew up with all your cousins and your aunties and uncles, a big family. The Kiwahe, Kioshpai, all of that was part of growing up. So, I mean, I saw my grandma making star quilts. You know, I always know that was my start of understanding what is art. And I mean, I can still hear her sewing machine going, you know, when I'm painting sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I grew up and a lot of that is what drove me to like have some sort of a want to do things. And I mean, drawing was just fun. You know, as a kid, you have fun doing drawings. When I finished high school is when I made a decision to do something with my life. So I went and pursued art school. And I wanted to go do more. So I got my degrees in art. I went to IA down in Santa Fe, in Mexico. And then I got my master's degree here at the University of South Dakota. Like Oscar Hal, he's very famous. One of our masters for the Ochente Shakoli. When I saw his work, that kind of motivated me a lot. And then a lot of the other artists that you're probably familiar with, a lot of whose artwork are here at Crazy Horse as well too, like you know, Arthur Emia, Bobby Penn, Don Monclo. And then today, you know, working with students and seeing all the youth, they're the ones who kind of inspired me too.
It is kind of neat because they have the school right here too, with all the kids coming out. So you're here at Crazy Horse as an artist in residence. How did that happen?
Well, it's a program, you know, so the opportunity is available. You apply for it, you fill out your application, and you submit it, and you maybe get selected or maybe not. And I wanted to try it out because it's here in my backyard. You know, it's not too long of a drive, but I also wanted to kind of see what the experience would be like. Yeah. So I get a little bit of time to do the artwork, you know, to work on the work, but then a lot more of it is meeting with people. You know, but also just seeing the experience, seeing what that brings with it, you know. Like I said, when I introduced myself to you yesterday, I've heard of your group, you know, and I've never got the opportunity to really see what your guys' music was like, you know, so that was a good experience that I think this place offered. If not for not being here, I would not have had a chance to meet you.
Well, and that's a chance to get some of us artists together too.
Yeah.
It really doesn't happen very often.
And it's important too, I think, for us as like I said, appreciated your voice on how you were talking about what you're doing is contemporary and why it's important for that to be, you know, starting to get its opportunity, you know, and how you're kind of structuring what your expression is about and how you present your expression as contemporary, because that's, you know, reinforcing this idea of a continuum. You know, we have all of these nice artworks and expressions that our ancestors did here, but then it's also like something where we have to understand that we're today. You know, we draw from the past, but we always have to think about what we're doing today, but even also into the future.
Each year, Crazy Horse Memorial hosts numerous Native American performers, speakers, educators, and entertainers who share their individual stories and experiences with thousands of visitors from around the world, enhancing the guest experience at Crazy Horse Memorial. We were honored this year with the invitation to perform over the summer at Crazy Horse Memorial. Thank you for joining us today on Hidden Heritage. I'm your host, Paul LaRush, reminding you that if you enjoyed the podcast, share us with your friends and help us spread the word. Till next time, from all of us in Brulé, thank you.